discrimination kills in a heartbreaking way. Take a look.
Discriminated, abused, ridiculed, and finally pushed to suicide. A chilling note on Facebook reveals New India's reality. 20-year-old Avinshu Patel committed suicide. His last words: "I hope if I am born again, I should either be a perfect boy or a perfect girl. There is no place in India for gay people."
On 3rd of July, 20-year-old Avinshu Patel's body was found in this beach by the police, and they took it to autopsy. Finishing it, it was handed over to their parents. They decided that the boy has drowned, and they almost had closed the case, waiting for the autopsy report alone, had they not found out the Facebook post where he has mentioned what has driven him to take such a drastic situation.
Avinshu Patel's letter reveals how he never felt accepted in society as he was gay. Earlier, a study by UNESCO in Tamil Nadu schools had revealed that as many as 60% students in the state have faced discrimination due to their sexual orientation. Proof that despite decriminalization of Section 377, Indian society is yet to accept LGBTQ people who are out and proud. Join Mirror Now's campaign. Let's unite and end discrimination against LGBTQ people.
Well, it's very simple. We live in a country that gives everyone equal rights, and the law prevents discrimination against all of us based on our gender, whether you're women or men, based on your caste, based on your religion, and based on your sexual orientation. But somehow we haven't managed to drive the last point home. The Supreme Court had instructed the Government of India to write out laws that prevent discrimination against anyone based on their sexual orientation. Those laws have not yet been written. This is our campaign. We no longer lose people, lives, young lives. It's something so preventable. In the studio with me, Harish Shetty, a social activist. Vinay Tote is an LGBTQ activist and a journalist with the Mumbai Mirror. Praneeth Hatte is an actor. Dr. Prasad Raj Dandekar is the head of radiation oncology at the HN Reliance Foundation Hospital. And Sujant Devgikar is a youth influencer. I welcome all of you to this conversation. Unfortunately, it's a terrible sort of story to start with. And we've talked about this enough, about the fact that there is discrimination. And I think the thing that bothered me most of all, Harish, I'll start with you, is how often this young man, Avi, used the word normal. In his suicide note, he kept saying, "I wish I was normal. You know, I loved so-and-so, but that person was normal." And he actually wishes that if he were to come back in his next life, that he comes back as a pure boy or a pure girl and not as a gay person.
I think the fact that there is so little awareness, there's hardly anyone who speaks about sexuality or gender. We live in our echo chambers and we think that everyone is aware. But the truth is, there is a need to come out of the comfort zone and to go and speak to people, especially people in the fringes who are a little hesitant about these issues, to go and tell them what sexuality is, what gender is, and to think beyond the binary of male and female, think beyond the binary of homosexual and heterosexual. So I think it's extremely important that there is a sensitization which is at workplace, which begins with schools and colleges. In fact, it should begin at birth, where every child who is born, every parent who is pregnant with a child, every mother and father who is pregnant should be told that your child could
be. And if you read through the suicide note, he talks about how his parents supported him, his cousins supported him, his siblings supported him. But at some point, if you go out into the larger world, that sort of understanding was not there. And I just want to raise of hands from all of you. Have you all at some point faced discrimination, taunts, jokes? Yes? Praneeth, do you want to talk about it?
Yes. Firstly, I have faced bullying when I was in my school. Recess ka time tha. We all were down enjoying our free time. Then this teacher comes and talks to me, "Listen, are you a boy or a girl?" Ye ek teacher se aana was like very heartbreaking for me. And I was very young to answer back to the teacher. So that is how it was for the first time. Later, in the same area when we used to play, I was always bullied by my friends, all the boys around me. Like अरे हा तर बायले आहे like ह्याच्याबरोबर नका खेळू किंवा why are you like this, why can't you talk like a boy, why can't you walk like a boy. So, but nobody tried to understand my feelings at that particular time. Why am I like that? And everybody forced me to be something which I was not like them.
Well, I want to go back to that suicide note where Avi basically says that I've tried to be normal,
Yes.
but my natural body, I can't control it. Is that how you felt as well?
Exactly. I mean, how much ever you try to control yourself, you can't control your soul inside, right? I mean, even in my situation, when these people used to tease me or they used to bully me, I used to go and complain my parents. So my parents used to hit me in return, like you improve yourself. Why are you not improving yourself? Like walk like a boy, talk like a boy. See how other people plays cricket and you have to be with girls playing all the other things. Why can't you improve yourself? So that was very, I mean, for me it was very difficult. Like अभी अगर कोई मुझे नेक्स्ट बार चिढ़ा रहा है तो मैं किस हिम्मत से अपने पेरेंट्स को जाके बोलूं, बिकॉज ये लोग भी मेरे को वही बोल रहे हैं कि लाइक यू हैव टू बी नॉर्मल. So that is what he has
और
said.
आपकी उम्र क्या थी उस टाइम पे?
I was in 6th standard, so maybe 13, 12, 10, 11 maybe.
And how did you deal with this emotionally as you grew up?
This time, I would definitely say, because my friends stood strong by me. मेरे दो friends थे, both were girls, Divya and Revati. I mean, कोई भी मेरे को चिढ़ाता था, they used to go and stand, I mean, they used to go and fight back. तो like in that situation मेरे को एक support था. ऐसे डर नहीं लगता था कि अगर मेरे को कोई चिढ़ा रहा है तो मैं डिप्रेस हो जाऊं या कुछ गलत करूं. So they were my strong backbone standing behind me, like हाँ मैं हूँ तेरे साथ.
Dr. Randikar, have you ever faced bullying?
I have, but I have been lucky that I haven't faced to the extent that a number of people have faced. But the school time bullying, early on, that I have faced. I was a little lucky because, I was teacher's favorite, so people didn't take panga with me. But I see, I mean, all around me, people who have really had troubled childhoods and troubled even teenagers because of bullying.
Is there a larger instance of mental health issues, depression, suicide in the LGBTQ community?
So LGBT community has a significantly higher amount of suicide rate. It also has a significantly higher amount of mental health issues, primarily being depression and anxiety. And the reason why this happens is not because they are from LGBT community, but because they are discriminated and people are forcing and telling them that they are not normal. So people are marginalizing them, and that is causing a large number of anxiety and depression episodes, and even leading to suicide, such as in this case. So almost the rate of suicide is almost 3 times higher in LGBT community than the other groups. So it's a significant problem which most of us, in fact, we were talking early on, compared to say 5 years ago and today, the mental health issues have increased so much that it is overwhelming for all of us. What do we do? I mean, Harish had a call just now that somebody is threatening suicide, and this is like probably a daily phenomena for him. How do we deal with this sort of things?
Sushant, what was it like growing up?
For me, I think growing up gay anywhere is, tumultuous, and it is something that comes with, bullying and ragging and people making fun of you, and but more than that, I think growing up anywhere is because we need to kind of really attack bullying as a on a whole.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter whether, of course, the community has to face much more. The LGBTQ community has to face much more. But I think being a kid anywhere is so difficult.
No, but the difference, at least from what I see, is that when a child is being bullied for other reasons that are they're non-sexual, not about their sexual orientation, the parents confront the bully. or the bully's parents. But in this case, based on what you're telling us, Pranit, the parents confront the child. And it's not seen as the, you don't go to fix the bully. You go to fix, you want to fix the child or the victim in question. And that perhaps is more damaging,
I think a lot of schools
emotionally.
don't pay so much attention to issues such as this, and they think that it's a part of school life, or as long as it doesn't push you to a drastic step. And I don't think that they should wait for something like so drastic to happen. So I think every school must have a counseling department where they set it up, and any child who feels uncomfortable for whatever reason should be able to go and speak to the counselors who are in-house counselors, rather than because their parents are also not counselors. The problem occurs when you go to your parent and then they also don't support you, and then you think you've lost all hope. Whereas a counselor should be there who is going to be a third party that's going to be non-biased and is going to solve your issue, because parents will not be able to, I think.
Yes, and maybe we need counselors to speak to parents as well, Vinay?
Absolutely.
Exactly, because considering my experience, the childhood is very traumatic. One of the cases being my own classmates during a project, as I mentioned earlier, had slangs written and put it on my back, and I roamed around the entire city going back home from school and realizing then how traumatic it could have been. It would have been really bad if my mother wouldn't have been there. Seconding Harish's thought, it's really important that we sensitize people, because sensitization is the only thing which will help us to curb homophobia in the society, because phobia exists. Phobia is fear. Fear exists when you do not have enough information about certain things. And it's really important for schools and parents at grassroots levels to try and understand their kids' situation and, of course, seek help from the counselor. But what I think as a society is we forget to lend a ear to someone, because my mother giving me the time, my friends giving me a ear so that I could tell them my story, kind of gave me the support, helped me build myself, and then stand out and then point out a bully. Because considering the letter that we read of the 20-year-old kid, it was heart-wrenching, because the guy constantly kept saying that this is how I am. I do not know how to be perfect.
God made me like this.
Exactly. So I think somewhere we failed to lend a ear, because if someone has gone to social media to write a suicide note, I think we have failed somewhere to physically listen to the boy and understand what exactly was he going through.
I think,
Yes.
please.
Go ahead, Doctor.
I feel the homophobia starts at home. The fundamental thing is I am probably, there's something wrong with me. That is why I have produced a child who's abnormal, is where the problem starts. So if the child is bullied outside for being gay or effeminate,
So actually, so let's just ask these questions, because we have an opportunity here to remove maybe some of the doubts or the misconceptions that people have in their minds. People assume that families without a strong father figure result in boys growing up gay.
Yeah.
Strongly disagreed, because I am a kid of a single parent and I have an elder sister, no father figure at all, but that's definitely not the reason why I'm gay. Even when my father was with us for a few years when I was growing up, that didn't make any difference.
It didn't make any difference. So it has nothing to do with the parents.
Absolutely nothing.
I think everybody knows my father's support towards my brother and I don't think, I think my mother's also quite, a vociferous supporter of just humanity. I don't think it makes a difference. I think people need to understand that the child is their child. You have to create this conducive environment for your child to grow and blossom first, because the first institution that the child goes through is the family.
Yeah.
And if you have socialized him in him or her in the family so wrongly, and you have wronged him just there for being feeling so miserable within him or herself, that when that child goes into the outside world, already his self-image is so low.
Is low.
His self-confidence, there's no confidence, because you haven't helped him build it.
Is it as random as being left-handed and right-handed?
It is.
Yes.
It is. It is as random as being left-handed or right-handed, or curly head or straight head, or
Tall or short.
tall or short, or dark or fair or wheatish, or it doesn't really.
First of all, you don't choose it. and even if you had to choose it, if we had to choose it for convenience sake, we would have then chosen to be straight.
Yeah.
So that we didn't have to go through this
Actually,
rigmarole.
so here's the question. How many of you, when you were growing up, wished that you were normal?
I guess,
Never?
I did.
Never.
I wanted a simpler life because
It
in
would have
my-
been easier. This would have just,
Yeah,
all
I
of
think maybe
this.
the thought has crossed.
The thought has crossed.
So I did wish that I was heterosexual. I wanted to be heterosexual. I tried being heterosexual, and I did a pretty bad job at being heterosexual.
I'm sure.
I didn't go to that extent, but there were people who had claimed that yoga can cure homosexuality, so I took on them, and then I just became more flexible. And unfortunately, I think this is what is, the dialogues have to change.
So, okay, so let's go one by one. It is all homosexual people are born that way. They don't become homosexual through the course of their
we
lives
don't.
for any particular reason. No. It's not something someone did in your environment. It's not the house that you grew up in, right? And this cannot be cured or changed or willed or wished or beaten away, right?
Yeah.
Right. Or cannot be passed on, or cannot be communicated
It's not
It's
by
contagious.
touch or something like that. Yeah.
And also to mention, it's not a choice.
It's not a
lot
choice.
of people say that it's your choice. It's not a choice. It's something that we are born with.
When people also say, even many people from the journalism fraternity would say that, okay, it's their choice.
Yeah.
It's our choice to come out and speak about it. It's not our choice
To be
who we are.
Yes.
So that's the distinction.
So actually,
we
the
need to
term
draw.
then sexual preference, it's not really a preference.
It's not
It's
right.
wrong.
It's
And
orientation.
yeah.
It's your sexual orientation.
Many a times, very well-meaning people would say choice, and
Or
2
preference.
weeks, 2 weeks ago, I was in a corporate. And we were doing some LGBT sensitization program, and the HR head was like super supportive, and she just kept saying choice, 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 and I was like cringing every time she said.
Also,
she meant well, but
Yeah, also a lot of
know.
allies, say that, it's okay to be gay, and, if we are normal, so, and, they're gay, and, so what happens there is you've already sort of, by default, by calling yourself normal and as gay, then you have kind of sort of
Already made
it equivalent to being abnormal. So it's not like they mean bad, as he said. It's just that I think it's
The
so
semantics
ingrained
and the
and
language.
conditioned.
So
because
so
we've
very quickly,
been
if we were to put together the list of things that need to be done, and it's not just for us and for journalists and for lawyers and for activists, it's for every individual in their personal space to actually make this change. So one is obviously education, the things that we just talked about, right?
Yes, when Sushant said about educating parents, nowadays we have this PTA,
Yes.
Parents and Member Association. I mean, that is when you can also educate parents and teachers both at same time, because sometimes teachers also need to understand the students. They don't understand the students. First
Yes.
point, and then and during the syllabus, when we talk about human rights and women empowerment and respecting women, तो ये भी एक topic होना चाहिए in the syllabus of like respecting what people is and with their choices and everything.
Yes. So let's consider the fact that we need education in schools, we need training for teachers, we need counseling for parents, we need inclusive workspaces where the HR and the counselors available in workspaces know how to talk about this. We need public service advertisements
Yes.
where actually Janhit mein jari, you put out this information so
Yes.
people know, because otherwise, what if someone is currently not in any of the spaces I just mentioned? How do we reach those
I
people?
think one of the most important thing is to destigmatize counseling. People need to go to mental health professional. Like everyone, so everywhere I go, I have to tell people that, you know what, this is my doctor and this is my counselor.
Yeah.
So
I'm a counselor, but and then I've put it out there.
Yes.
In case you need any sort of help, that I'm not practicing, but I can obviously
Refer you to
someone.
someone.
And
Yes.
it's not doctor's job to cure your mental health issues, but they don't understand. And then some people just don't feel comfortable going to a mental health professional because they think that people will term them.
And you're available on social media.
Yes.
You're available on social media.
I
Harish
think all of
Iyer
us.
is available on social media. I'm available on social media. My email ID is faye.d'souza@timesgroup.com. get in touch if you need help, and we'll put you in touch with people who can help.
Yes.
There's a lot of
yes.
resistance. People even people who need serious mental health, help, are very resistant that, okay, I'm fine, I'll get over it, I don't want to do this, I don't want to take tablets. I mean, antidepressants is something which is like a severe
I
stigma.
mean, it's literally like having pneumonia and saying, I won't take tablets.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. It's like I keep telling them, if you have, high blood pressure, you're going to take tablets to make sure that you don't have a stroke, right? Antidepressants, most of the time, you have to take it for a shorter duration, you get better, and then maybe you can taper it off. It's just something that you need right now for your health. And the sort of environment that we live in is, the mental health problems are increasing
And it's
because of the...
psychosomatic also. So there are so many issues that come with not having, proper mental health, resolved on
Attention,
time, your,
yes.
issues. And then it kind of results in other bodily...
Vinay, as we're both journalists, do we need more sensitive journalism as well?
We definitely do, because especially during the verdict, I saw many of our fellow members putting out headlines, putting out a lot of content, though they might not mean it that way, but the words being used were really incorrect. And that because being from the media fraternity, it's a responsibility to bridge the gap between the masses and the government. And I feel it's very necessary for us to understand how to deal with them, because me personally, I've seen a lot of people from the community complaining of how media professionals have been very insensitive towards them while asking questions, because I think we also fail at times and lack that responsibility of asking certain questions in a certain way. The trigger warning needs to be understood in the first place, because you never know when a person might break down at any point of time. So I think definitely, and considering that we have the power to reach many number of people at a time, I think it's the responsibility is on our shoulders.
Right. We're going to leave it there, and I'm just going to put everything that was said into a nutshell. If you had a child or a baby who was left-handed, what would you do? You would find a way to make that left-handed child more comfortable. You would go to that child's class and explain to the teacher that this child needs to sit at the far left of the classroom because otherwise there's not enough room to write. It's the same thing. It's random, and these are our children. We need to create workspaces, schools, colleges, public spaces that are safe and welcoming to everyone. The only way we can do that is through passing on information, officially and unofficially, to looking for people who are in distress, reaching out to them and offering them help. We also need to collectively appeal to the Government of India to write laws that prevent discrimination, to write laws that push out public service advertisements and information to make this society safer and more welcoming, so we don't lose more Avis. And Avi has not died in vain. His death will start a movement where we push for change on the ground. The Supreme Court decriminalization of homosexuality was just one step, only one step. We have so much further to go in order to create an India that is truly inclusive, that's truly equal. On Mirror Now, we promise to do our part to make sure that India becomes more equal and more welcoming.